because I've met some of the most amazing people. They just happen to be experiencing homelessness right now.
Welcome to today's episode of St. Patrick Center's More Than a Soup Kitchen podcast, where on the show today we've got Robert Thornton, who is the executive director of Cloud Covered Streets, a mobile shower unit that also provides laundry services, haircuts, and employment to individuals experiencing homelessness in Phoenix, Arizona. Welcome on the show, Robert.
Hey, thank you. Thank you so much for having me on. Anytime I get the opportunity to talk about what we're doing and hopefully inspire others to change the way they feel and the way they act towards those experiencing homelessness, I'll gladly jump at. So thank you very much for having me.
Well, Robert, let's just jump into, a little bit about your story. I want to hear how you got into this mobile shower unit and, what led you down that road.
So it's kind of interesting how it started just kind of serendipitous way where I had no thought or desire of starting a nonprofit, no idea to do this, but I have another company called Paper Clouds Apparel that teams up with special needs causes and takes artwork that kids with special needs draw, puts it on t-shirts, and we sell those to raise money for special needs causes. And then I hire adults with special needs to fold and package the shirts as well. So because of that business, I was always driving around Phoenix, and here in Phoenix, we have a very large population of individuals experiencing homelessness. And so I would just see them everywhere and happen to pull up to an intersection one day, and the gentleman holding a sign had what you could barely call a shirt on. It had just holes in it. I'm guessing it once was black, but by this time it was just sun faded. It was almost like a light brown, but you could see like the layers of just like sweat in it. And I just remember seeing him, and I was like, man, like you run an apparel company. Like you need to do something to help these people. So very first day we went out, it was October 14th, 2015. And I wanted to do more than just bring them a shirt. And so I did a little thinking. I was like, what we call a letter of hope, which is a handwritten letter just full of encouraging words. Just, something that if you were experiencing homelessness, if you read would make you feel better, just people telling them they believe in them and that they can do it. And so the very first day we went out, it was just a shirt and a letter. And the very second person that I met was this gentleman named Daniel. And he was sitting in the park, had a pair of shorts on, had his pillow there and a blanket. It was early in the morning, but he didn't even have a t-shirt on. And so when I approached him, the very first thing that we always do with everybody we meet is a handshake, an exchange of names, eye contact, just because nobody ever takes the time to learn their name. And so it's always been very, very important for me from the very first time we went out, where I want to know their name. I want them to know my name. So he told me his name was Daniel. I gave him a t-shirt and a letter. And as soon as I gave him the shirt, he put his head in his hands and started crying. So I looked to my friend and I was like, oh, did I say something wrong? And I was like, hey, like, is everything okay? And he explained to me that a week ago when he was sleeping, somebody stole his backpack. So he'd gone a week without even having a t-shirt. And it threw me for a loop. I was like, wait, you've been without a t-shirt for a week? And so just talking to him, I asked him, well, what are some other things you could use? And he mentioned socks. So then the next time I went out, it was a new t-shirt, new pair of socks, and a letter. And then just kept on growing, where it was a new t-shirt, new pair of socks, new underwear, hygiene bag, letter. And so I was just coming up to these people with handfuls of items. And through my conversations with them, again, I would always ask them, what's something you need? And so many times I would hear them say, kind of almost jokingly, like, oh, I could use a shower, And I think like a lot of people out there, I was led to believe, oh, aren't there just, shelters everywhere that you can go and get showers, but then I came to find how deplorable the conditions are at a lot of these shelters, and how, the drug use is rampant, the violence. And so a lot of these people, they won't go, near there. So many people that I knew, like here in Phoenix, we have a bunch of canals it's just dirty canal water, but they were excited when it got a little warmer, because they would just jump in the canals with like a bar of soap and that, or what they do with the bird bath, where they would find a hose, and somebody's outside somebody's house, and then like at 3 a.m., kind of strip down naked where they knew nobody was going to see them, and try and use that hose. And I was like, these are human beings, every human being should have access to a shower, so started kind of the process, and it was a good 4 years of work and, roadblocks and empty promises and groups, saying that they were going to do this and that and the other thing, and just kind of leaving us high and dry. So it eventually came down to, we just bought a cargo trailer, and myself and my dad and a couple of friends literally did the work converting, a cargo trailer into what ended up being our first mobile laundry and shower trailer here in Phoenix. It's a 24-foot cargo trailer. In the front area, we have 2 separate rooms. Both of those rooms have a full-size shower and a bench for them to kind of sit down on and change. And then the middle room of our trailer, we made our laundry room. So it has 2 stackable washer and dryer units. And then the back room of our trailer, the tailgate actually, it folds down to make a ramp. And that's where we have our ADA wheelchair accessible shower, because there's a lot of people on the streets that are in wheelchairs or that just need to sit down while they're showering. So I wanted to make sure that we included
That's
a
so
place
cool.
That
is so cool that you're thinking about the accessibility piece of that.
It's always fun too to see the people that we meet that need assistance, and their eyes just light up. They're like, "Oh my, like, you have something for me?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course, man. Why wouldn't we?" And they're just over the moon that again, that somebody was just simply thinking about them and their circumstances. My
favorite part of what you just said was the fact that from the very beginning, when you first started connecting with these individuals, you actually looked at them as human beings, right? Because one thing that we talk a lot about, and we actually have a piece on our website about it, is how to approach panhandling and individuals that are homeless whenever you encounter them. And the first thing we say is you need to treat them like human beings, because they are, right? Not often are people, even looking at them, right? If someone's panhandling, a lot of people try not even to make eye contact, let alone walk up to them and start a conversation. You approach somebody and, came bearing gifts, and encouragement with your letters, which I think is an amazing approach. Because, that encouragement can go a long way with anybody experiencing difficulties or experiencing hardships. Just that letter of encouragement can keep people going the next day, because you never know where they may be at mentally, in their battles. Right. So I love the fact that you've been humanizing these individuals, from day one, and that seems to be your main focus.
Well, if we really care about our fellow human beings, then, we have to treat them as equals and not look down upon them. And that's why from day one, just even going out on the street missions, it was always extremely important to me to have that name exchange, to make eye contact, to just have a normal, organic, free-flowing conversation and let them know that I hear them, that they matter, and that somebody out there cares about them. Because I think that's the biggest issue and hurdle that individuals experiencing homelessness have to overcome, is getting that belief again in themselves. Because and I don't care how strong you may be. And first off, we all have mental health issues. It's just the extent that we all have them. But once you become, experiencing homelessness, any issue you may have is going to skyrocket, because you're never getting 8 hours of sleep at night. You're never getting the nutrition that you need to keep your mind and body, operating at full strength. And so I think that's one of the things that people need to really understand, is that once you, start living on the streets, your whole entire mindset shifts, where you and I, we can think about next week, next month, we can make plans. When you're on the streets, your only focus has to be doing whatever it takes to make it till tomorrow. And I think that's one thing that I think that the masses don't really think about when encountering them. And it's something that we all need to understand, that this person might be acting this way because, again, like they're doing whatever they can to survive, Yes. And so if we come out with lunches and they want 2 lunches or 3 lunches, yeah, man, take them. Like, you don't know when your next meal is coming, so I want you to have some supplies. I want to, when you use our shower, I want you to walk away having, a little stockpile of goodies. So, I know that you're going to be okay until the next time we're able to see them, but it's our whole entire goal is to connect with the people that we meet and really build back their belief in themselves and their self-esteem, and let them know that their current situation doesn't have to be there forever, but it's going to be very, very hard because society has made it extremely difficult for people to get back on their feet. But in our connection with people, we always let them know, like, hey man, if you want it, like, let's talk. Let's try and figure out a path for you to a better life.
You mentioned that individuals that are on the street get little sleep, right? No safety, and oftentimes are, poor nutrition. So, with our model, we're able to put folks into housing initially. That's the first thing that we try to do in order to increase the effectiveness of the services that come after that. People sometimes like to make assumptions. Oftentimes like to make assumptions. We all do it, right? If we look at the person first and say, what really separates them from me? Maybe even one circumstance. They may have lost a job and ended up in that situation. There's so many reasons why people end up homeless, but it just seems like it doesn't even matter to you.
No, that's a human being. And if they need help, we need to help them. It reminds me of the sports analogy that, a team is only as strong as its weakest member. Well, a country, we're only as strong as, the people that are struggling the most, and it's so frustrating knowing, if we all just did a little bit to help those in need, not everybody's going to make grand gestures, but just being nice to people, and being kind to them, and not, just being rude to them or treating them, making them feel like they're less than, human
Right.
being it's huge, and we just need to work on just being a little bit kinder to people and being a little more understanding. And so it's kind of interesting that our nonprofit, we kind of have two different missions, and we have our mission for the people that we're serving, where our goal for them is we want, again, just to help them feel better about themselves and help them know they matter. But then with the masses and the general public, our goal is to help change their thought process and how they think about those that are experiencing homelessness, and let them know, again, that how easy it really is to end up on the streets. I think the most recent study I read said, I think it was 76% of the population is living paycheck to paycheck, and if you're that person and you're living paycheck to paycheck and you lose your job, or, your car blows up on you, and you have all these expenses that you can't cover. And if you don't have a lot of strong connections in your life, people that can help you out, your only option is, you end up on the streets. And we've made it so ridiculously difficult for people to get back on their feet, and it's kind of frustrating for me because, I think that the general population, they just don't think about things, and so they will see people experiencing homelessness and see, all these job hiring, in the city, like, oh, well, they're hiring everywhere. Why don't they just go get a job? And it's like, man, what's the second question on every job application? Address. Most job applications now, they're all filled out online. They're going to want your cell phone number, your email. So it's like we just set the system where it's like, hey man, if we want these people to get these jobs, we have to make them attainable for them. We have to make it easier for them to find work if we expect them to work. But it's like, they can't just go up to even a simple job, a ground floor job at McDonald's, how are they going to go and apply for that job if they haven't had a shower or a haircut and their clothes are all dirty? We have to give people the opportunity to be able to earn their way off the streets, and that's one of the favorite things that I like to talk about with our trailers is that, so far we've had 22 individuals who have used our showers and then went on to find employment, and that's huge. That's
awesome.
Our goal. That's what we want. We want people to live a better life. But in all fairness, I also know that it's not my right to tell anybody else how to live their life. So if somebody that uses our trailer and they're content and they don't want a job, they don't want a house, they don't want all the responsibilities that come with it, cool, man. We can still get you a shower and help you out. I'm not going to try and tell you, how to live your life and you need to do this and you need to do this. But if you want it, let's talk. Let's see if we can make it happen.
There's no prerequisites to utilizing your guys' units, is what you're saying.
No. If you're breathing and you need a shower, come on in, man.
I've been wondering, as you're talking, what does the system or the network of organizations in Phoenix look like that actually support housing initiatives and homelessness?
I think it's getting better. Like actually know we recently met one lady who her and her husband, they're retired and they bought this kind of run down housing area and they're in the process right now of completely rebuilding it. And they want to completely make it for, people that are, I think that low income housing is so important and just finding housing for people so they can afford it. I think that all across this country, it's absurd when you see the cost of living compared to, the average earning for an average American. It's like the cost of living just continues to skyrocket. And, it's like, how do we expect people to be able to pay their rent if their rent is, like, especially if you're making minimum wage, like even if you're working 40 hours a week at a minimum wage job, there's no way you can afford a rent if you're a single person, and eat.
I know it's tough here in Missouri. I can't imagine what it's like further in the West Coast. So
There's a city, I think it's in Vancouver in Canada, where they're really focused on the tiny house communities. And it's such a brilliant idea. We have so much just land that either has, decrepitated buildings or just it's not being used. And, I'm like, hey, let's invest in our people, let's put together some small house communities. And like this one in Canada, it's amazing. They have like a garden and everybody that lives there, has a job in the community, so they're getting used to a schedule and working and all the things that I guess normal people, have to go through on a day-to-day basis that those experiencing homelessness don't have to get. And it's definitely a retraining process because again, like I mentioned, like there's that switch that you have to, that, you switch in your head when you become, when you start living on the streets where it's all about survival and that's all you focus on. And it's a lot like when people get released from prison and they say how they're institutionalized, it's very, very similar to people on the streets. When you're on the streets for long enough, coming back into like a normal situation is really frightening and daunting, and they're not prepared for it. So we have to reteach people and walk them through the steps and make them feel safe and trust is a huge thing, because so many people on the streets have been told, oh, I'm going to help you. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And then nobody ever helps them. So then they begin to get jaded and then they don't trust people, and so there's just so many factors that we need to work on getting better at how we help those that need our help.
the services that you are providing are amazing, right? So let's go into that. Along with the shower unit, you're also providing the laundry services, the haircut services, and then you're also providing employment. Is that right?
Yeah. So like say if somebody approaches our trailer for the first time that wants to use it, the first thing they do is sign a release form, just basically, taking all liability off of us and be like, hey, if you slip and fall in the shower, that's on you. Don't come and sue us if you slip and fall in the shower. But they sign up for their shower, they get a time slot. So it's like, all right, hey, Eric, you have 9:30 as your time slot. So make sure that you're in this area that we can see you at 9:30, and then they can go and if they want to put their name on the haircut list as well. And when their shower time comes, they'll come and they'll see me and I'm at the back of the truck and they get a brand new pair of underwear, new pair of socks, new shirt. If they need, we keep some shorts if they need shorts. Since it's Arizona, it's 120 almost year round. We keep a lot of on hand if they need shorts. But so that way, when they go and take their shower, they've got new underwear, new shirt, new socks, and they just feel clean and better about themselves. And then they can go and get a haircut. And we have incredible stylists who, the transformations in some of these people, it's amazing, and I think my favorite aspect about that is watching somebody begin to like feel themselves again, and they see themselves in the mirror like, oh my, like this is who I am, not that person that's been walking around with a real big shaggy beard and hair all over the place, this is who I really am, not that person, and it's fun to watch them from a distance get out of that chair. And when they walk, like if through the lot, they're catching the reflection in any mirror they can. And they're just like, it's like, yeah, man, like that's what it's about. Like this person, came here feeling really down about themselves, but now they're, they've got their chest up and they're just feeling a little bit better about themselves. And then they can wash their laundry. We always have a couple of tables set up where they can just sit down. We always have a bunch of water, drinks out there, food, snacks. We have a 13-year-old volunteer who sold salt scrubs to raise enough money to get a grill. So now she comes out and she'll grill up like hamburgers and hot dogs. And And then we, like you. Well, it's our volunteers are everything, but it's so we set up in these locations, and it's almost like a kind of like a picnic in a community. And they know that the people that use our services, they know that they can come there and that they're going to be treated with respect and dignity and kindness and compassion and love, and that you know everywhere when you're experiencing homelessness, everywhere you go, somebody's looking to shoo you away and push you away, but they know if they come and see us, it's a safe zone. And so it's really interesting to watch how many people will shower, and then after their shower will lay down and sleep because they know that, oh, I can get in at least a couple hours of good sleep here. Nobody's going to bother me. Everybody's going to, I can. And so it's just like, it's amazing. But then you touched on the employment, and one of the things from the start that I wanted to make different about our trailer, because obviously there's other shower trailers out there, in no way, shape, or form am I trying to, oh, we're the only one. There's a lot of them out there, and they're all doing great work, and I'm so happy for them. But one of the things that I noticed is that none of them like hired those experiencing homelessness to help run their trailer. And I was like, man, if we're really trying to help these people, like we have to help them get a little money in their pocket, get a little work experience, build up their references. And so we always made it important. When we first started, we would had 2 employees at all time that were experiencing homelessness, and so they would come out with us every Monday and Wednesday and Friday and just basically help us run operations. And it's fun too. When people would come up, the other volunteers would come up, and our workers, everybody's got the same shirt on, it just says volunteer on the back. And so they would start these conversations and have a day spending time with somebody, having no idea that the person they're talking to is actually experiencing homelessness at that time. And so it's fun for me to see people have those revelations and then come up to me later and be like, holy smokes, like, Tim is homeless. Like, I had no idea. I thought he was just a volunteer. I'm like, that's the thing, like there are so many people that once they get cleaned up and get their shower and haircut and they're clean, like if you were sitting next to them at a coffee shop, you would have no idea, but we have this stereotype that we've been fed, I feel, and I don't know where it comes from. I don't know if it's media, I don't know if it's TV, but we've all been fed this idea since we're young that every single person that is experiencing homelessness is a drug addict, is a drunk, is dangerous, wants to steal from us, and so it's just like, we're just doing all we can to try and break down those stereotypes. Now, are those people? Of course, but those people exist in every socioeconomic group, but we just want to label, people experiencing homelessness as that. And it's like, man, like take some time to get to know these people, because I've met some of the most amazing people. They just happen to be experiencing homelessness right now.
Whenever you pull your shower unit up to a location, do you ever get pushback from the community?
We not as much as I expected, and it's one of those things where I always tell people that what we do is great for the people who have an open heart to helping those experiencing homelessness, but it's also great for those that don't like seeing dirty people walking around, and they don't like seeing all these. I'm like, man, that's cool. We can get them a shower and cleaned up, and you'd have no idea, So it's one of those things where we're great for both sides of the argument, whether somebody has a really caring heart for those that are on the streets, or somebody that's just tired of having to see, dirty people walking around town. Then cool, man. Like, you should love us because we're getting rid of that issue for you, And I think it's one of those things where, again, like the people that have those negative thoughts and ideas, I guarantee that they're probably people who have never really stepped up and really volunteered and really got to know people that are experiencing homelessness. Because if you did, I think that it's a life-changing moment when you really connect with somebody who, again, in your mind, you're having a hard time rationalizing. You're like, how is this person, they're well-spoken, they're intelligent, they're smart, like how did this happen? And the thing is, like, it could happen to any of us, and so many of the people, like the overwhelming majority of people that I've met who were on the streets, it was a loss of a loved one that kind of sent them into a spiral, whether it be a spouse, a parent, a child. A lot of people we've met, it's they lost a child, and you kind of can go into a little spiral. And next thing you know, you kind of come to and you're like, whoa, how did I get here? And then you've got to spend so much effort to try and get back on your feet. And then the frustrating part is after, hearing no so many times, and you're trying and trying and trying, and nobody will give you a job, nobody will help you out. Eventually, you just kind of accept it, and you're like, well, this is my life, and our goal, and just kind of give up hope. And that's our number one goal, is to hope. Is we're hope pushers, like I want every single person to believe in themselves. I want, for those people that don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, like I want to reignite it. For those people who maybe that light's getting a little dim, like I want to try and find ways to brighten it and just let them know that, like, again, like, it's out there for you. You don't have to just accept this as forever.
On your guys' social media, your before and afters are just so inspiring. It's, one of my favorite accounts to follow because of that. So you mentioned this earlier that you have someone that may get, a clean shave, a nice haircut, take the shower, get clean clothes. And then you see them walking off and looking at themselves in the mirror, kind of admiring, their true self, true self, right? What does that make you? How does that make you feel?
It's one of those things where I always correct people whenever people will compliment me and tell me how selfless I am. I have to stop them and tell them that I think that I'm probably one of the most selfish people on the face of the planet. But the thing that I'm selfish for isn't a tangible thing. It's not a car. It's not money in my bank account. It's the feeling that you get from helping others without wanting anything in return. It's a high better than any drug you will ever try, and I didn't understand it until I really dove headfirst into this. I remember growing up and watching, it was always like the Thanksgiving football games, and they would, at halftime, they would do a feature on some woman who has volunteered at a soup kitchen for 20 years. And I remember being a kid and I would watch that and I'm like, wait, she's volunteering? So she's not getting paid. She's just doing this for free. And I couldn't really wrap my head around it, but then when you do it, and you're like, oh, now I get it. When you tap into the juice and you just get, again, just when you help somebody and they're just so grateful over things that we take for granted, like seeing a grown man cry over seeing Q-tips in the hygiene bag that we give them, like, you can't, like, that's the type of feeling like, oh my goodness, and I think another real benefit from doing what I do is that I don't complain about anything anymore. Like, I understand, like, how ridiculously fortunate I am every single day. Like, I get to sleep in a bed. I have a vehicle that gets me from point A to point B. There's food in the fridge, like, so it's like, maybe when I was younger, if I went out and my food was taking long, I'd be like, oh, this is ridiculous. What's going on here? Now it's like, man, I'm so fortunate to be able to sit down in a restaurant and order food. Like, there are so many people. Yeah. Whatever's going on back there in the kitchen, man, it'll come out eventually. Like, there's so many people I know that don't get to enjoy that experience, So it's like, how am I going to complain about my life when on the regular I see people whose struggles are a million times harder than mine and are some really good people, and really a lot of them, like, life just happened to them, but they didn't have the tools to figure out how to deal with a lot of the hardships that came their way.
You mentioned shoes are very important. That is something that you guys actually give to your clients, correct?
Yeah. We do this. It's been year 5 of this thing we call Operation Santa, where at Christmas time, I go out and I buy as many pairs of Nikes as I possibly can. I think this year we bought like 215 new pairs of Nikes. And then at Christmas time, I dress up like Santa. I paint my beard. I wear the wig, the hat, everything. And then, so when people come and use the shower, after they get out of the shower, we give them a golden ticket. And we're like, hey, don't go anywhere. Trust me, you'll want to cash in this golden ticket. And then at the end of the day, after we finished, inside the laundry room, I've got all the shoes, and we gift wrap them. And so then they come on the trailer. I'm like, ho, ho, ho. And they get to sit down. I'm like, oh, hey, Sammy, Santa's heard you were a very good girl this year. What size shoes do you wear? And she's like 7.5. And then where we have on the label sticker where it normally be like to and from, that's where we kind of put the sizes. And so then I get to give them, a gift to actually unwrap. And just the physical sensation of unwrapping a gift when you've been years without, it's like, for the people that are on the streets, who knows how long it's been since they got to actually open a gift, that's been wrapped all nice and neat at Christmas time. So they get to open the gift. Then when they pop it open and they see that Nike swoosh on there, it's just synonymous. It's like everybody knows Nike, and so it's like they're all super excited to get a brand new. They get to celebrate Christmas with a brand new pair of shoes. Something that they severely need, and it's going to last them a long time. Because again, when you're on the streets, you walk everywhere, so it's like your shoes are extremely important, and most of them are walking around on shoes that are talking, they're flapping because they're not even really shoes anymore, so it's something that we really, really love to do.
What are some things that you're looking to do with your mobile shower unit to grow the operations there?
In our laundry room, we have a little bit of extra space, and I would love to set up a table in there with a laptop that has internet access and help people with filling out job applications, with connecting with loved ones if they don't have access to email to a computer, but just do anything that we can to help them take that next step. Because like I said, our goal is we just want to reach as many people as possible and find those diamonds in the rough that really do want to get out of that life, and if so, let's make it happen. So another thing that we're trying to work on is just finding more businesses in the area that are open to hiring individuals experiencing homelessness, and be able to help them get back on their feet and just give them an opportunity and a shot. Because so many of these people, like, they just want an opportunity, just give them a fair shot, let them prove that they're a dependable employee, and then let them build the life that they should be living instead of the life that they currently are living.
Have you thought about connecting them with the available resources that are out there?
We've had a couple that have come by, a couple different organizations throughout the valley that have come by and kind of checked it out. But we have one of the locations that we actually set up at where they have job services there, and so we pull up every other week to that location. So they have access, but again, I think it's the trust factor, and so I think that since we do have such a strong relationship with the people that use our services, I think that once things hopefully calm down a little bit, I think they'd be more apt to trust us than to trust a lot of these other places that, again, somebody may have been burned once by them and they just vow to never ever attempt to try and use them again.
One thing that a lot of people don't talk about when it comes to homelessness is the support system, Robert. So, your mom and your family in general, what kind of support have they offered?
I mean, like my dad put more blood, sweat, and tears into building this trailer than anybody out there, and he drives it now. Because he has many, many years of driving, heavy equipment and hauling stuff. So he's our driver, and then my mom, she puts together all the hygiene bags that we hand out, so I'm so grateful to have parents who support any idea that I have, but they also understand that, like, if I say something, like, they know that I'm not going to do anything half-assed. So if I come to them with an idea, they already know that I'm going to give it my all, and they've just been insanely supportful. I mean, they'll be wearing like Cloud Cover Street shirts all the time and Paper Clouds Apparel Street shirt all the time. So it's just I'm super fortunate to have such an amazing family backing.
It's hard enough to be a new nonprofit, right? It's kind of like running a business. You went through that. It's like running a business, but when people step up, it's unreal. Like, one of our biggest core values is collaboration, right? When people want to collaborate with St. Patrick's Center, it's just such a moving experience to see other people buy into your mission.
And again, like, our volunteers are so next level amazing. I mean, we have two of our hairstylists, Chelsea and Elena. Like, these ladies have come out with us. Like, our first day out with the trailer was August 31st of 2020. Like, these two women, both of them have provided over 1,000 haircuts apiece. Like, and they're amazing. Like, these people get up and they look at themselves and they're like, holy smokes, and then we have another volunteer named Lindsay Joe, who is, she literally she does stuff that even I'm like, nope, that's too far for me. But she loves to give manicures and pedicures, and she'll get down on her knees and like clean the feet of people. And it's like, if you're experiencing homelessness, like, your feet are usually pretty jacked up, but she just gets down on her knees and like cleans their feet and trims their toenails. And I'm just like, it blows my mind, the support that we've received. I always tell people, like, I'm just merely the conduit that others can kind of work through, like I had this idea, but without all these other people jumping in and helping us, like there's no way we would be able to do it. I want to get trailers all over this country. So if you're interested and you have a heart and you really want to help people, please, please, please reach out to me, and I'd love to hear from you.
Thanks a lot, Robert.
Oh, thank you so much, Kevin. Appreciate it.